Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report, your daily source for Black news, Black views, and Black opinions. Happy Monday. Today is May 23rd, and I'm Mimi Brown.
And I'm Romeo.
I'm Demi Lobo. And on today's report, hundreds of people gathered yesterday to honor the lives that were tragically taken by a shooter in Buffalo, New York, a week ago. Meanwhile, negotiations between the U.S. and Russia are in its early stages, reportedly considering a deal to swap WNBA star Brittney Griner for a convicted Russian arms dealer. Then, a group of Ohio high school students created an uproar when they posted whites and black-only signs in school. We have that story.
Plus, Viola Davis says one filmmaker called her by his maiden name, and Cardi B says her political views won't end up in her music. We have all of that and so much more. This is our voice and our truth, so let's get it.
Well, over the weekend, city officials in Buffalo held a moment of silence in remembrance of the 10 people killed 1 week ago.
This is a difficult time for our community, and I thank everyone gathered here today and all across the city of Buffalo and our region to remember the 10 innocent Buffalo residents who were shot and killed 1 week ago today, as well as the 3 survivors who continue to heal. Last Saturday was a beautiful, warm, sunny day. That beauty was shattered when a hate-filled, racist outsider came into our city and took the lives of 10 innocent community members and wounded 3 others. Today, we remember the precious lives lost. Please join me in a 123-second moment of silence.
And 123 seconds is the amount of time it took for the shooter to carry out his attack. Hundreds of people gathered yesterday to honor the lives that were tragically taken by the shooter. Church bells near the grocery store also rang 13 times the number of affected lives. Meanwhile, Roberta Jury was laid to rest Saturday in Syracuse, where she grew up. She was the youngest victim killed at 32 years old. Roberta was remembered for her smile that could light up a room. Now, more services are scheduled for the coming week. And we will continue to bring those to you, soulmates. As we just continue, it's been 1 week marking this occasion. You know, I'm starting to wonder, where are some of our white allies? I don't know if you guys remember when George Floyd was killed, but there was a bunch of companies, they were standing with us. They were, posting those black squares on Instagram saying that they stand in solidarity with the black community. And I'm just wondering, where's the outrage? Where's the marching against white supremacy? Where are the calls for us not watching Tucker Carlson's show because he's promoting the conspiracy? Where are those calls so that, we can hear that you guys are standing with us in this time of need? I think, we heard a lot more from a lot of our, white allies during when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. They were outraged, traumatized. But what about this? Why aren't we outraged, traumatized when black grandmothers are literally being gunned down in the grocery store? So I'm just wondering, where are some of those calls to boycott Fox News? And where are some of those calls to, stand with us when it's not provocative, when it's not trending, when, we need allies more than ever to raise the red alarm and raise the red flag of what's happening in the black community?
I actually got into an argument with someone via Instagram DM over the weekend with that same topic because someone posted a meme that said Will Smith slapping Chris Rock landed in the media longer than this did. And so, I personally hate to compare. I really do hate to compare George Floyd's death, that black death, to this black death, because I feel like every situation is different, and we can't compare what happened. That was it was just different. And so I understand, Mimi, and I think that there always can be more that can be done in every situation like this, but I don't like to compare one death to the other death.
Do you think it's comparing? I think it's the reaction. I think at that time we were everybody was together. They were protesting. It was in the news. And so people were standing with us. All I'm saying is that we need more people. We need more allyship to stand with us. It needs to be more tangible instead of performative. If it's more tangible, then we can actually get some stuff done. Where's the legislation in Congress about, the gun laws? Where's the legislation in Congress about domestic terrorism? It's not comparing. It's just saying, like, stand with us always so that this can stop.
Well, I also think that if we're being honest here, that a lot of what happened and transpired after George Floyd's death was also performative.
It was.
I believe everybody
Absolutely.
had a plan. Everybody used the fact that George Floyd died, the way that he died, at the hands of how he died, to gain something. There were BLM. I mean, there were so many different organizations that all profited from that situation. So I think this is more so of a realization that, like, oh wait, whoa, this is like actually really happening. This is there's nothing happening as a result of it.
Okay, let me get in.
It's eye opening.
Got it. Let me get in where I fit in right now, because I think it's something all of it's becoming too normal for the corporate world. They're seeing this over and over again. From George Floyd, we saw what happened in Milwaukee. We saw what happened in El Paso, Texas. This is becoming a pattern where it's almost normal. And now, you know how sometimes we just send the prayer hands all the time when someone passes away? But what actions are we taking to do something different? So now we have to call them out at a whole different level. We understand you might be there. You're right, Mimi. They should be posting things of that nature. They should be on board. But they did it so well. Like you said, the George Floyd situation, they did it. They were there. But it's so many things have happened since then that steady takes us back in the wrong direction, that it's normal to them. So I almost feel like it's business as usual, which is a problem.
It's a problem.
Yeah, it is a problem. Well, 3/4 of African Americans, they say that they are worried that them or someone else that they love will be attacked because of their race. The new Washington Post poll, it was conducted after a gunman killed 10 black people in a Buffalo grocery store. Of the people polled, only 8% say that they were surprised that the attack happened. But only 10% of those polled say the problem of racism will improve in their lifetimes, and 53% say that it will get worse. This poll, it also says that about 70% of black people think at least half of white Americans hold white supremacist views. And so, of course, continuing the conversation here, absolutely, I do agree. You have to, there's a story also in the New York Times, that talked about the poll, the lifelong toll, that this is going to have on young black kids. The majority, this is the predominantly black schools. And so imagine having to go to school the next day and talk about this, because of course it's going to be a talking point. Imagine that toll, the trauma and how triggering this is going to be little black boys to have shopped at the store, to have walked past the store after you go home from school, and to look at a place where your black bodies mattered not even a little bit, slaughtered across this grocery store, and to have to relive that every single day living in Buffalo. I mean, those are the young people that I'm really sending love and prayers to, because it's a lot to handle.
It's a lot to handle, but I think that every black person, when something like this happens, they can see themselves in this tragedy, because you never know when it can be you. And I think that's why all of us have so many emotions, because, just going out into the world doing everyday tasks can lead to you being killed. So when we're really upset about it, it's just because we know this could be our mother, our father, our sister, our brother. So absolutely, there are times where, I worry, about my loved ones. So this poll rings so true, because I think all of us have some sort of worry when we send our loved ones out into the world.
I agree. And I'm going to say this, is very discouraging for me to have a young boy that's coming up in this world, because when I was going to school in the 80s and 90s, right, when I'm growing up, if you'd have looked at that percentage, it would have been 53% saying, oh, we will be in a better place. Only 10% said it may not change. Now it's the opposite, and we're steady moving forward. So now we realize we are taking steps backwards. That's so unfortunate. So yeah, when I think about my son, I would love the fact that saying, man, things are going to be better for you in 20 and 30 years, but I am not sure. And it hurts me that I can't give him that answer. Right?
For sure.
All right, so since the Buffalo massacre, the Biden administration is working with civil rights leaders on ways to deal with white supremacist violence in the country. NAACP President Derek Johnson met with Attorney General Merrick Garland last week. The two men reportedly talked about how existing hate crime laws can be used to combat racist violence. They also discussed the spread of white supremacy on social media. The meeting came after members of the African American community demanded the White House take steps to battle domestic terrorism.
Meanwhile, DOJ officials are taking new steps to raise awareness about hate crimes. The Justice Department is developing phone hotlines around the country so people can report racist incidents. Part of the new effort also includes $10 million to new federal grants to states to help them fight hate crimes.
Justice Department is investigating this as a hate crime and as an act of racially motivated violent extremism. We are deploying every resource we have to ensure accountability for this terrible attack, to pursue justice for the victims and their families, and to provide support to a grieving community.
The FBI says there was a disturbing rise in hate crimes against Black and Asian Americans in 2020. DOJ has convicted more than 30 people on federal hate crimes since January of 2021.
The State Department is reportedly working out a deal to swap WNBA star Brittney Griner for a convicted Russian arms dealer. Forbes magazine says the negotiations between the U.S. and Russia are currently in its early stages. The convicted Russian arms dealer, known as the Merchant of Death, is currently serving a 25-year sentence for conspiracy to sell millions of dollars in weapons and the Colombia terrorist group. He was also notorious. He was so notorious. The 2005 film Lord of the War, you might have seen that, starring Nicolas Cage, was made about his life. Now, the Griner swap, the story, it was initially reported by the Russian news agency earlier this week.
Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, pushed Arizona lawmakers to set aside Joe Biden's 2020 election win in the state. Emails obtained by the Washington Post show Thomas trying to get Arizona lawmakers to choose a clean slate of electors. Thomas spoke to a pair of legislators telling them the vote had been marred by fraud. The Post story says the messages were sent through an online platform designed to make it easy to send pre-written form emails to multiple elected officials.
And Donald Trump has reportedly paid $110,000 in court fines that he owed to New York. He was held in contempt of court for being slow to respond to civil subpoena issued by State Attorney General Letitia James. The former president must still submit additional paperwork in order to have the contempt order lifted. The Trump Organization is accused of inflating and deflating the value of assets in order to get loans and avoid paying taxes. Trump denies those allegations.
Georgia Senate candidate Herschel Walker misstated his income on federal documents by more than $3 million. The GOP candidate initially reported that he made $927,000 between 2020 and last year. But when Walker amended that report this month, it showed he actually made $4.1 million. Now, Senate candidates are required by law to submit a report detailing their personal financial information 30 days before becoming a candidate. Walker could face a fine for filing the disclosure so late in the campaign. Now, primary election day is tomorrow in Georgia. In other campaign news, Walker has reportedly overstated his role with the for-profit group, accused of taking advantage of military veterans. In the past, the former football star has told people who started Patriot Support. Now, records show the group was formed 11 years before Walker became a spokesman for that group. Patriot Support, which is not a charity, has been charged by prosecutors of defrauding the federal government.
A civil lawsuit accusing Bill Cosby of sexually assaulting a teenager in the 1970s is moving forward. Judy Huth says she and a friend were taken to the Playboy Mansion in 1975 when she was 16. She claims the actor-comedian gave the girls alcohol, then forced her to perform sex acts on him. Cosby denies the accusations in the suit. Huth says Cosby told the teens to tell people at the mansion they were 19 if they were asked how old they were. Now, initially, Huth said the incident happened in 1974, but she revised the date sometime later.
And congressional Democrats are trying to help the American people with high gas prices. Last week, the House passed a bill cracking down on alleged price gouging by energy companies. The House vote was 217 to 207, with no Republicans supporting the bill. That means it will probably die in the Senate. The Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act would grant the president authority to make it illegal to exploit or increase gas prices excessively.
Delaware State University have now officially filed a civil rights lawsuit with the Department of Justice, alleging that Georgia deputies stopped a bus carrying women's lacrosse players without probable cause. The incident happened back in April 20th. Now, body camera video shows sheriff's deputies boarding the bus and searching luggage. They didn't find anything, but Georgia deputies say the driver was in the wrong lane, and that's why they were stopped. But the bus driver was never ticketed. Lawyers for Delaware State say they want an independent investigation into the Liberty County Sheriff's Office's, their practices, as well as their procedures.
A Michigan school teacher is on leave after they gave an assignment to students depicting former President Obama next to photos of monkeys and other animals, as you see right there. The biology assignment asks which of the following are primates. Now, a photo of the former president is shown with primates. Officials at the Roper School said the assignment is completely inconsistent with the school's philosophy. Officials say the instructor admits to making a mistake in not properly vetting the workbook. School officials say they're trying to find out what the intent of the teacher was for using those photos.
And segregation is over, but a group of Ohio high school students thought it would be funny to take a trip back to the past by placing whites and black-only signs above water fountains. The signs were reportedly left up for less than a minute in the Cincinnati area high school. Other kids who saw the signs removed them. The high school, they say that they do not tolerate racial discrimination or hate. The incident prompted an uproar from parents and an investigation by the school district. The students involved have been identified, and the school says that they will be properly disciplined. This is unfortunate. There's nothing funny about Jim Crow laws. When you think about it, Jim Crow was outlawed in 1965, and it's not that far away. You know, my mother was alive in 1965, so that just kind of tells you, like, it's just a generation removed. And, you know, there was all kinds of people who were killed for using the wrong water fountain, for going to the wrong bathroom. So there's nothing funny about putting signs up that say, you know, white people or white people only, black people only. So hopefully the school does definitely discipline these students, and they really realize that this is not a joke.
Yeah, it's definitely not a joke. You got into an argument with someone, you said this past weekend, right? I had a conversation with someone saying this could be a result as if you want to teach what happened in the past or critical race theory. I was like, what do you mean by that? Because when you talk about these stories that happen, unfortunately, you're going to have kids like this that think it's funny or want to poke and do things of this nature just to get attention. Look, there's only a few bad apples. There's no reason not to teach this in school. Kids need to know what we went through, what our ancestors went through, right? But I would say, you know, for just a second, I was like, could it be because of that? Because it's such an uproar about teaching this that people are reacting this way. They're lashing out.
That's not a bad, you know, I never thought about it like that, but I could honestly kind of see what that whoever said that to you, I could kind of see how they feel that way, because it's like, okay, would they have known this? Would they have taught this?
Right.
Would this have been something that's in their school book? So now, since we're making it such a big deal, now it's like, okay, cool. You want us to talk about it. You want to force it on us. Now we're going to make a joke about it. But back to Mimi's point, there's nothing to be joked with about this at all. So, and hopefully they see that now that it wasn't a joking matter. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, she plans to extend the city-wide curfew for minors. Now, that ban will also keep kids 12 and older out of Millennium Park after 6 p.m. on weekends. The curfew was instituted after police say a 16-year-old was shot and killed by another teen, who they were arguing, of course, on social media. Now, the mayor says that she doesn't want kids being arrested, but hey, if they're out late at night, they will be. The ACLU says it's a bad idea because young Black and Latino kids are already over-policed.
The parents of a 22-year-old Atlanta man say police failed to properly manage a 911 call about their son having a mental crisis at a restaurant. That man was fatally shot by the officers. A witness says Nigel Cullins was acting unstable as he sat at the bar in the Brazilian steakhouse. The witness says restaurant workers saw him with the weapon and called police officers. And they said that they got into a scuffle with Collins and tried to tase him, but that didn't work. Cop says that Collins fired the gun at the security guard who tried to tackle him, hitting the guard who actually survived. Officers returned fire, killing Collins. Now, early in the day, Collins' mother called 911 to have him taken to a mental facility, but he left the house before cops could come.
And a Texas high school senior is happy after a judge granted a motion in his favor that will allow him to walk across the stage wearing his locks. Travion Gray was told by the assistant principal in a Texas high school that he would have to trim his hair. He complained that other students, especially white boys, had longer hair than he did. The district school code says hair should not cover the eyes or be lower than a student's ears. Gray was suspended in March when he refused to cut his hair. He was also told he could not attend his graduation ceremonies. His lawyers filed a temporary restraining order when a judge granted the order, but the school appealed. A few days later, the judge denied that appeal, allowing Gray to graduate with his locks.